Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we're diving into the astrology behind why some of us intentionally choose a tiny, tight-knit circle over, wide popularity. So if you've ever felt like you're just wired differently when it comes to making friends, the source material we're breaking down today uses an incredible framework, specifically an astrological placement called Saturn in the 11th house, to really unpack the deep psychology behind all of this. Have you ever felt like an absolute outsider in a large crowd? It's a pretty heavy question, right? But we're going to explore this super common feeling of social alienation. What our source text does so brilliantly is show how this specific framework actually offers a really profound explanation for why a huge network of acquaintances just might not be your thing. And that brings us to a feeling I'm sure many of you can totally relate to: the sheer exhaustion of surface-level friendships. Honestly, if you've ever felt completely drained by casual connections, awkward networking events, or just endless water cooler small talk, you're going to want to pay close attention. The cosmic setup we're unpacking today explains exactly why these casual connections often feel so temporary or even draining for certain folks. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Decoding the Cosmic Setup. So, the 11th house is the astrological area representing friendships, groups, achievements, ambitions, and recognition. Basically, it's the space of connections that help us grow. By its very nature, the 11th house pushes us outward towards social expansion, networking, and collective goals. It inherently wants you to get out there, mingle, and be recognized by the crowd. But look at what happens when we introduce our second player into the mix: Saturn. This is the planet representing discipline, responsibility, patience, boundaries, and lessons learned through time. So just imagine taking this highly restrictive, boundary-setting force and dropping it right smack into the middle of that socially expansive 11th house. Suddenly, you're applying strict boundaries and immense discipline to those normally expansive social desires. Talk about a massive friction point. Moving on to Section 2, Quality over Quantity. Right away, we find a real battle between social popularity and emotional reliability. For individuals with this specific placement, emotional reliability will absolutely trump social popularity every single time. The source text notes that these folks simply don't collect friendships easily. Like, they might actually know a ton of people, but only a very, very select few ever earn their true trust. And this leads to such a brilliant realization. One genuine friendship can feel more valuable than hundreds of surface-level interactions. They seek depth, They want unwavering loyalty. They're looking for bonds that can actually survive challenges and the test of time. For them, a massive network often feels way less meaningful than a tiny circle built on absolute unshakable trust. So how do they actually find that kind of trust? Well, true trust is built strictly through consistency, honesty, and shared experiences. People with this placement carefully observe others before opening themselves up emotionally. They know trust literally cannot be rushed. And their small circle? It isn't created because they dislike people. Not at all. It's actually created because they profoundly understand the mechanics of meaningful connection, and they completely refuse to settle for less. Which brings us to Section 3, Protection versus Isolation. Are you carefully choosing your connections, or are you just afraid to trust people? This is the ultimate introspective question you really have to ask yourself if you're resonating with this explainer. The text points out a really crucial difference between being selectively open and being completely closed off. Is your solitude coming from hard-earned wisdom, or is it actually stemming from past disappointments? Because there is a very fine line here. A balanced approach means you value loyal friendships, you take the necessary time to build trust, and you create stable, long-lasting bonds. You're choosing relationships wisely to protect your peace. But on the flip side, an unbalanced approach creates emotional distance. Past betrayals or rejections make you cautious to the point of total isolation. You avoid vulnerability strictly because of fear, assuming others will just leave or fail you before you even give the relationship a fair chance. Which naturally leads to this vital follow-up. Are you protecting your energy, or are you just protecting old wounds? An unbalanced approach means the intense desire for protection becomes way stronger than the desire for genuine connection. Over time, actively avoiding vulnerability becomes the very reason they feel disconnected. They end up creating the exact loneliness they're trying so desperately to avoid by just not letting any new bonds form. Let's shift gears a bit for Section 4, Building Lasting Success. Now we're getting into the other major theme of the 11th house, our hopes, dreams, and ambitions.
And there's a really powerful mantra for this. Delayed success is not denied success. Because we're dealing with the heavy themes of time and patience here, Saturn often creates delayed success in your goals. This means ambitions are achieved slowly, definitely not overnight, but they are built on an incredibly strong, unshakable foundation. Frankly, quick, flashy recognition rarely satisfies this personality type anyway. Instead, they prefer to follow a much stricter process. They practice immense patience, apply consistent effort, and build a strong foundation that actually stands the test of time. They deeply understand that lasting success doesn't just happen instantly. They want their achievements to be fully earned and highly respected by their peers.
All right, moving into our final part, Section 5, the evolution of trust.
As this social journey progresses throughout life, things change dramatically. In the younger years, it's incredibly common for these individuals to feel different, excluded, or like finding a sense of social belonging is just way too difficult. But moving into the maturing years, there's this vital awakening. They realize they weren't ever meant to fit everywhere. And finally, reaching full maturity, they focus all that disciplined energy on building connections that truly align with their specific, deeply held values.
This brings a really vital realization to the surface. Your difference is a strength, not a weakness. The source material is super clear on this. This mindset does not automatically create some isolated Sigma personality who's entirely incapable of connection. Not at all. Rather, it represents a journey to understanding that your selective nature, your strong boundaries, and your patience are actually your greatest superpower. At its highest expression, this placement teaches a lesson we could all probably benefit from. True friendship isn't measured by a high number of casual acquaintances or thousands of social media followers. It's measured by absolute loyalty, profound honesty, shared growth, and those incredibly rare connections that remain strong even when life gets, incredibly difficult. As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a final, somewhat provocative question. Does your inner circle reflect loyalty and shared growth? I want you to truly evaluate your own relationships and the boundaries you set to protect them. Are you choosing people who stand the test of time, or are you just collecting faces? Keep asking yourselves those questions. And as always, keep learning.